Hi everyone. So guys, today I have the honor of sitting with Dr. Tejas Saha. He is rank 60 INICT June 2023. I'm so sorry, INICT May 2023. And guys, the best part is that he's again a Maharashtrian. He is from the favorite KEM Medical College, and Maharashtra has done great at this INICT. So first of all, congratulations, Dr. Tejas.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Tejas is our DBMCI Mumbai 4-year pre-foundation student. I mean, from second year, he was with us only. And now I'm going to request Dr. Tejas here to tell his journey, what made his mind start from second year itself. All right, 2018, that's a long back. And after 5 years of rigorous hard work, he has managed to get this amazing grant. Dr. Tejas, stage is all yours. Please guide us students how you started, how you got that with us mindset and everything.
Yes, sir. So my journey to target INICT began right after my AIMS UG. Because like during my UG preparation, I got into most of the colleges except AIMS Delhi. And that is where I wanted to be. So like right from the onset, I was like, I couldn't crack it in UG, but I'll definitely try to crack it in my PG. Like
दिल पे लग गई
MBBS
बात.
kahin se bhi ho, PG AIMS Delhi se karna hai, is what I had in mind. And during my 11th and 12th also, I was enrolled in coaching as well. So I knew that coaching does give you an extra edge, at least in the competitive exams. So in my mind, I was already prepared that I'll try to get into a coaching as soon as possible. Because personally, I knew I am not someone who likes to sit and study on their own as well. I need guidance. I need someone to teach me the topic. If someone teaches me the topic, I am able to solidify my concepts immediately as compared to reading it from my books and making my own concepts. Like getting it taught by someone else is something that I feel is much more efficient for me. So I tried asking around for like if there are coaching classes right from first year itself, but like the earliest available course was from second year that was available in Bhatia. And I did my own research as well. And I saw that in NEET, even if other coaching institutes were better, at least for INICT, which was at that point called as AIMS PG entrance examination, Bhatia was the institute which was providing excellent results, and like the test series especially was like acclaimed to be accurately representing the INICT exam pattern. So that is why I decided that the pre-foundation course is also available. So might as well just take it and start my journey as soon as possible so that I get a edge over my other competitors. And also because like I felt the teaching at my college was not adequate. So I actually wanted to learn the subject as well. Because if you don't know the subject, even if you crack the exam, there is no point, because like ultimately we have to treat our patients, and that is where your rank does not count. Your skills count at that point.
Absolutely.
So, sir, that is how I joined Bhatia right from my pre-foundation year. So, during my pre-foundation year, my preclinical subjects were the second year subjects were covered first, and then some of the first year subjects were also cleared during my second year. And during the third year, actually, the pandemic hit, and that is when we actually got an advantage in the Mumbai center at least. Because before that, like the teachers, like the topmost faculty, whom we like appreciate in Bhatia, were not regularly coming to Mumbai Center. But after the pandemic, since the classes became online, even we got access to the best faculties from Bhatia. So, and plus the Bhatia coaching also started early on, like within the first 3 or 4 weeks only the online classes started. So like I did not waste a lot of time during my pandemic as well. I started covering up the subjects early on in Bhatia as well during the online lectures. I attended Rajat sir's lectures. He solidified radiology so much that after his class, I directly revised radiology like I guess 1 or 2 months before my exam only. Between the 2 years, I was just able to use the thumb rules that he had said during the classes, and I was able to clear most of my questions.
That's
Apart
great.
from
That's
that,
great.
sir, I also finished off ophthalmology and ENT during that time period, sir.
Okay. The biggest question that comes in that in the starting year of like second year, I think this is the year that normally students are not, very keen to study. They still want to enjoy their college life and everything. So what made you make this decision कि हाँ यार second year से मुझे I understand कि तुम्हारा first year से था मुझे INICT क्रैक करना है, एम्स क्रैक करना है. But second year जब शुरुआत करी होगी तो you must have felt कि यार everybody is roaming around me. Why am I sitting? And path of pharma, let's be frank, they're pretty boring subjects. So how did you manage that?
No way, sir. The main reason was simple. Like, so I already had the goal कि I need to crack it. I have no other choice. Like, UG में नहीं हुआ, PG में तो करना ही है, which is why I was like, कि the best bet for me would be to start early as soon as possible, especially because I know that my weakness is I cannot sit and study on my own. So like, I was like, if I sit around and if I enjoy the starting part of the second year, I will lag behind in some part and I may or may not be able to catch up with my peers.
True. Then how frequent were you in the grand tests, the Q bank? How were you managing those?
So the grant tests I mainly started to give in my internship year, in my internship only. And I
Okay.
started by giving my first grant test after completing my first subject, which was physiology. And
All
that
right.
I gave around June. And then in my mind, I had set a frequency that initial period I will give at least 1 GT per month. And then I'll slowly accelerate my pace so that by the time the exam comes, I am giving GTs on a weekly basis. So by the time NEET came, I had given around 16 odd grant tests. And my strategy for giving the grant test was I preferred giving the grant test on a Sunday, and that too from 9 to 12:30, which was the exam timing for NEET at least. And I tried to simulate the exam environment as much as possible. Another advantage of giving the tests on a Sunday was the results did not immediately get declared. So I did not have any incentive to immediately review the test as well. I got the free time. I could do whatever I wanted to do in that free time. And on the next day, when the result was getting declared, I could see my rank. I could see where I went wrong, and then I could review the GT in piece properly with focus. And mainly, I preferred to focus on the questions that I'd skipped, the questions that I had gotten wrong, and the questions that I had guessed, whether it be right or whether it be wrong. I did not focus much on the weakest on the correct questions, but on the questions where I did something wrong or I did not know the concept at all. And sir, before INI, like right after NEET, I was feeling a bit burned out. So I did not, as such, I did not even feel like studying any notes during that period. So I again stuck to solving previous year questions from the modules because I had left some of the INICT papers, the previous papers like 2018 and 2017. I had kept those papers ready so that I could solve them like before INICT. And before INICT, like I had heard advice from peers, like you do not need to give a lot of GTs. You can manage with only 1 or 2 GTs as well. You must focus more on reading the topics. But I felt that personally for me, since I wasn't feeling like reading the topics itself, I thought that it will be wiser on my part to actually give grant tests only. So like between the period of NEET and INI, I actually ended up giving 6 grant tests as well, in which the Bhatia INI mock was especially good for the level of questions and the fact that it was very lengthy. So like the lengthy paper, this was the first lengthy paper that I had solved in a long time. So that also made me question my timing and the time management for the exam. Like in case the main paper, if it becomes lengthy, what should be the number of questions that I should attempt in the first hour, in the second hour, in the third hour? How many should I mark for review? And should I like review the answers that I had already marked, or should I just like confidently attempt the questions in the first one and then only looked at the mark for review question in the INICT paper? Because in INICT, as we all know, the questions marked for review, if I do not unmark them, they won't be counted. So I had to go through them at least once, no matter if the time is short or not. And in the actual paper, the question paper was a bit lengthy. But since I had already given the Bhatia mock, I was mentally prepared that in a lengthy paper, I'll try to attempt at least 75 to 80 questions in the first half, in the first hour, and then 160 questions by the end of second hour. So that in the third hour, I can attempt 40 questions in the first half, and then the second half, that is the last 30 minutes, I can review whatever was left for me. Whatever I had marked for review, I could look at it, and then I could like just finish the paper within the last 1 or 2 minutes, and then I could be at peace.
That's a really detailed strategy, because at Bhatia Grantas, that's what we focus on, to make sure that the every question is as much possible as close to the real NEET and real INICT. And you know, like 10 faculty members sit and brainstorm that हर एक question कैसे design होना चाहिए, कैसे बनना चाहिए, and how close these options should be, so that we actually arrive that close to the real NEET. Because this is the most common statement that I hear, that कि Bhatia grad test जो होता है वो बहुत close है, and I'm really proud to say that by God's grace, this is what we have actually managed to do in this, complete scenario. Now, last, how did you finally revise? Because I understand notes कैसे बनाए. This is very important. आजकल you can see that everybody is having their own their digitally handwritten notes. So sometimes I feel that the new generation of students that are coming in, they are not very keen to make notes, because I am an old school person myself. I find that if you're not making your own notes, then there is no point sitting in a class, especially in a face-to-face class. So how did you manage that particular, I think, obstacle right now?
So since like we had face-to-face classes for the first half, at least like before the pandemic hit, I preferred making my own handwritten notes, because when you are writing the notes, you are actually reading the same thing twice. Once you are hearing it, and then while writing it as well, you again need to focus and then write. You cannot just like shut off your mind and like copy it like a robot. You need to like
True.
focus, and then at that point, if you want to, you can actually still make the points more concise instead of like just copying whatever the teacher is writing on their own notes. You can try to concise it or add additional points that you have learned from somewhere else, and you can just consolidate it in your notes at once. Even during the pandemic, I preferred, like, I asked my mom, and like even during the pandemic when the stationery shops were closed, like she managed to find one stationery shop which was open, and then she bought me like 10 or 15 notebooks, so that I did not have any excuse for like not making notes. Like, because I did not have any iPad or any digital tablet at that point, and I was also used to writing handwritten notes only. So then I just cried and I asked her, like, get me a notebook so that I can make the notes. This is why, like, during my the initial radiology and ophthalmology, during that time I did not have a notebook. So what I did was I used A4 size papers, the ones we used in printers. I made my notes in that only, and then I just filed it on, so that like I could use the handwritten notes only. Another benefit that I thought the handwritten notes gave me was that when I looked at the handwritten notes, I was sure that I have at least read this subject, I have at least read this content once. I may not remember it, like again when I was reviewing them, I may not have remembered it, but in my mind, I was like subconsciously, I was happy that yes, I must have read it somewhere in the day of the exam, somehow from some corner of my mind, the answer will come if it comes from these notes, which is not true about digital notes or like if you use someone else's note, because when you are reading it passively at best. So there is no guarantee that you are going to absorb everything from those notes as compared to when you are writing it. So that is why, like, if someone here is like planning on using only digital notes, if you want to use a digital notes, I would still recommend you to like add things or like circle on it and like highlight whatever important stuff you feel like you are going to forget from those notes. Even if they are someone else's notes, you still need to personalize them, because that is what will give you an edge when you are revising.
Well, that's very, very nicely summarized. And I think these are very good pointers for our students who are watching this interview. Now, apart from this, how did you finally revise at the end? Because 4 year course, 4 year notes, I'm sure that, you know, क्लास में इतना मोटिवेशन भी होता है कि तुम उस दिन एक बहुत ज्यादा मेहनत करते हो, बट रिवीजन के टाइम पे यू आर अलोन, अ लिटिल बिट ऑन द अलोन साइड. You know, regular motivation is going on, but finally, you know that last couple of months you're very stressed. So how did you manage the stress and the revision at that particular point of time?
So for this, like, I am actually very lucky that I had a study partner with me who was also having similar aspirations to me. So like both of us like had the same goal, that initially both of us had the goal that we need to get the best possible rank in NEET, and then both of us had the goal that we need to get the best possible rank in INICET. So like that is where instead of motivation, both of us helped inculcate consistency among us. That even if we did not feel like coming to study, both of us had to show up in the library because we did not want to disappoint the other person. So like in the last 2 or 3 months, I am going to say that if I did not have a study partner, maybe I wouldn't have been sitting here giving this interview in front of you, because it was this consistency, like trying to put in at least 10 to 11 hours of study each day, like right before the exam, like for the last 1 or 2 months. And during that time, I focused on the revision notes, the last minute revision points. And apart from that, at that point, Bhatia had also released the YouTube series of like one shot, in which like at least for the subjects where I felt like I was a little weaker, I felt like instead of trying to revise the entire notes or even trying to revise the entire revision notes, I felt like it will be much wiser for me to like just go with the one shot series, and like whatever is covered in that one shot series, I should at least try to get thorough in those topics. Like I will selectively, because there is a reason why the faculty has placed those topics in the one shot series. So like I at that point I blindly trusted the faculties, and this especially helped me in anatomy, where I had a phobia of anatomy right from first year, because I did not study at all during my first and second year. So like every time even while considering whether I should be a surgeon, I was like I was extremely worried that if my anat is not strong, how will I become a surgeon? But then watching Ashwini sir's notes, how he the way he taught us anatomy, how he explained the concepts, even in a subject like anatomy, where it feels like it's rote learning, but the way sir integrated the clinical questions in the anatomy part, that is where, like, in my mind I had a reason to remember the name of the muscle, because like I had something clinically relevant to correlate this. So and what I did was I blindly followed his one shot revision series. He had also sent the PDF. So instead of reading the PDF passively, I read the PDF along with the notes, along with the video. I paused the video. I added the extra points that he had said in the video, but it was not there in the PDF. So that 1 or 2 days before the exam, all I need to do is I need to go through that PDF once, and I will be sure that no matter what question comes from anatomy, I am going to ace it. And so similarly for INICET, I watched the one shot revision video only, because I was like, I could try to read the video, I could try to read my notes, but I felt like watching the video at 2x speed would be time saving for me. So I again watched the entire video at 2x along with the notes. And then I again watched the mission INICET previous year recall questions, and I added those points to my notes as well, to the original one shot notes. So I had an extremely concise source for revising during the last 5 to 7 days. And so since I had given grant tests regularly, I also knew what my weakest subjects were. So like instead of focusing on trying to revise all the 19 subjects before the exam, I thought that if I'm not able to finish the 19 subjects, at least I should try to revise the subjects where I know I'm already weak. Because so that subconsciously, at least during the exam, if I see a question, my mind should already not be in fight or flight mode. This is getting asked from somewhere where I don't know the answer. And instead I should feel like, yeah, even if this is from somewhere I did not know, since I've revised it in the last few days, I should be at least able to rule out 1 or 2 options. So that was the revision strategy that I used.
So in the end, which other faculties at Bhatia you would like to thank and appreciate?
So the most that I would like to appreciate is Dr. Ashwini Kumar sir, because of him, like now my vision of trying to become a surgeon is solidified even more, because like he has helped me clear the concept of anatomy, which I did not think was possible after my first year had ended. Apart from there, Dr. Ranjan sir also, the way he taught PSM, it was like extremely concise as compared. I looked at my friends and I saw their notes, and then I looked at my notes. My notes were hardly half the size, but during the grant test and all, I was getting equal, if not better marks than them, because the notes were small and they were high, and they were extremely high yielding. So like Dr. Ranjan sir, apart from that, Dr. Rajat sir for solidifying my concepts in radiology, and Dr. Neena Agarwal and Dr. Neha ma'am as well for like her concepts in ophthalmology, especially the image-based questions.
Superb guidance for everyone here, and I believe that I'll pass on this thank you messages to all the faculties for actually putting the 110% efforts. And I believe it's a very mutual relationship between the student and the faculty. They put their heart out, you guys put your heart out, and then together we actually manage to make your result feel good. And of course, 200% appreciation to your hard work who has managed to make it possible. So, Tejas, I'm really glad that I got a chance to have this talk with you. You are a super person, and I believe full of potential. In your future, you are going to do some great things. And if we can together, say one thing together. So I'll just say that. So ready, 1, 2, 3. Bhatia hai to?
Bhatia hai to bharosa hai.
Perfect, my friend. Thank you so much, Tejas. Lovely talking to you. And again, best of luck for your future.
Thank you, sir.
Manisha?
Done.